With the year coming to a close, I think it'd be right to do a most hated series, and this being the third part of that series is going to be the top 5 most hated battleships in World of Warships for 2025. So these 5 ships, when you see them on the NA team, you know you're just about to suffer. Either you're going to get death struck, you're going to get farmed to death, you're going to get sapped to death. When you see these ships, you know there's going to be a world to pay when you're facing them. So let's get started. Make sure you guys write down in the comments if you agree with this list. This list is in a particular order, so the order of the ships are going to what they're going to be for my top 5 most hated ships seeing. So let's get started. The first ship is going to be the Thunder. Oh my god. When I see this ship on the enemy team, oh lord, if you guys don't know what this ship is, this thing, it was originally in the game with the Smolensk a few years ago. When they were both released for Cole, and these things were absolute monsters. If you look at this fire chance real quick, that is a 63% fire chance, by the way. That isn't like an error or a wrong. That is a 63% fire chance. And these guns being 457 millimeter guns, they are massive, and the HE does tons of damage. You can even citadel cruisers with the HE. The HE is so strong, you can do consistently 15 to 20,000 HE salvos to battleships, cruisers. It doesn't matter what it is, it's going to be suffering from the HE. And not only is the HE good, the AP is good as well. The AP also smashes, and the guns are extremely accurate as well. This ship, along with the Smolensk, single-handedly changed an entire meta of the game in randoms when this ship was out. Now, you don't really see them as much nowadays, but a lot of the time you see these things at the back of the map, sniping you with HE, and if you even try to push them, they're going to be able to outrun you with their maneuverability and with the speed flying. They're able to outrun you and get away from you. Now, they are squishy when you try to, like when you shoot them, they are pretty squishy, but other than that, this thing is just an absolute monster to deal with. It's not even worth pushing into it. If you're on the flank and you see this thing, it's better just to ignore it and go somewhere else because of just how painful this ship is to deal with. It is an absolute monster, and I hate seeing these things on the enemy team. It is just like, ugh, you just know you're gonna suffer when you see one of these. Such a pain in the butt. Now, the number 4 on this list is going to be a tier 5. Many of you guys may not know what this ship is the Julia Caesar. It is one of the oldest Italian premiums in the World of Warships, or it is the oldest. Someone can let me know in the comments. But this thing is an absolute seal clubbing machine. It is a just very accurate battleship for tier 5, one of the most accurate, with amazing guns, good maneuverability, good hull. It was essentially a cruiser's worst nightmare. You were going up the tiers as a new player, and all of a sudden you see like a tier 5, like, oh, it's Italian tier 5, everything's fine. And then you show just a slight bit of your side, and you just get death struck from across the map. And that is what this thing is. There are so many players when the tier 5s were more popular, when this thing would just be running around, seal clubbing cruisers left of right, the poor Omaha, the Krispy Kremes. If you guys know about this ship, you know exactly what I'm talking about when you're a new player. It probably brings back horror stories as you try to figure out where this thing is on the enemy side. And if you don't see it in time, you just get death struck from across the map. This thing, still to this day, is a seal clubbing nightmare. It's essentially, if you are a seal clubber, you want to get this ship because it's how good it was. Now, the only way you can get it, luckily, is from the Santa containers. But back when you were able to get it, oh my god, this thing was an absolute nightmare to deal with for any poor cruiser. Even as a battleship, it would do a ton of damage to you as well. It doesn't matter if you're a cruiser, battleship, you name it, the AP just hurts a ton. HE, not as effective, but the AP though, really strong. The ship overall, just an absolute monster for tier 5. They even tried to nerf the ship, but the community rioted, and they essentially made a worse version of the ship called the Novo, and that's what they were wanting to do to this ship, and that thing at tier 6 is horrible. So this ship is essentially a tier 6 at tier 5, and this was the unnerfed version. The tier 6 that they put out is the nerfed version, and they moved that up to tier 6 from it being tier 5 to tier 6. So this thing is legit one of the strongest tier 5s in the game. It is absolutely a monster, and if you see this thing on the enemy team, you're going to be having hell to pay with dealing with it. Coming up to number 3 is going to be the Libertad. So, originally, when the Schlieffen came out, the tier 10 secondary ship for the Germans, they're like, oh, there's no way they're going to have a secondary ship that's worse than the Schlieffen, right? There's no way they could possibly come up with something worse. And Wargaming was like, no, just hold my beer. Hold my beer. So this ship, it's pretty long, right? And the armor, on paper, it looks okay, right? It's got 51 millimeter sides, right? It looks okay. It doesn't look that bad. 32 millimeter bow, aft. Deck armor, pretty good, right? 51 millimeters. But that side's like, oh, that's a really squishy side. It's not going to be that hard to kill this thing. Well, in practice, these secondaries, you see these giant secondaries? Yeah, those 34 millimeter gun secondaries. Yeah, that are bigger than a lot of cruiser guns. Yeah, so this thing has insane secondary angles to where it can shoot those secondaries, pretty much all of them, at these insane angles where if you're shooting AP and you hit this side, it's just going to ricochet over and over and over again. And this thing also has 12 guns, 12 of them. And 3 of them are pointed at the front at all times, and then 3 are pointed at the rear. So when you're pushing in, you can be angled, shooting 3 guns off of either side, and when you're kiting, you can have 3 guns shooting off of either side as well, and using those amazing secondary angles to melt as well. And with those big secondaries, you get really high HE pen, as well as good fire chance with the smaller ones. So you don't have to build into IFHE, which is a big advantage. So already off the bat, it has better has way better HE damage, better fire chance, right, with these secondaries, okay? It's like, well, you know, the reload on them are pretty long. It's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. Well, if you then go look in here, they decide, oh yeah, let's just add a combat instruction to this damn thing that's better than the Hanover, which is the super ship of the Germans. So this thing gets a better combat instruction than a super ship. So you essentially get a super ship combat instruction on a tier 10. All right, and this goes all the way down to the tier 8 as well. The combat instruction does. So this combat instruction, this thing has a 12.5 kilometer range for secondaries, right? When this combat instruction is active, you get 20% more range, which makes this ship go down, it makes the secondaries go down to 15.1 kilometers, by the way. 15.1 kilometers. That's longer than most destroyer guns. Insane. The reload time, 20% faster, and a 30% more damage to the secondaries. Essentially, you're increasing your DPM by 50%, and then you're having the secondary range increase by 20. Ow! And this thing is like all of it together, right? And to top it all off, it has the British acceleration of the battleships. So it can accelerate and slow down extremely fast, right? Which already was like, oh, nah, you know, that's fine. And then when they did nerf it, they're like, oh yeah, so when it's turning, it does slow down more during a turn. Okay, that doesn't stop the fact that these secondaries can melt literally everything. If you see this thing in your match, and you just see this thing barreling at you, you better just run for your life. You better stay outside of like 13, 14 kilometers, because if he's just barreling at you, he's going to catch up to you and he's going to kill you. It's just that simple. Even though the HP is 89,000 HP, it's very tanky. The secondaries are insane. Legit, you can just go down the 1 line or the 10 line and start doing a push and just do a little wiggle here, because of course, since it's the British acceleration, you can't build into propulsion, so you can either do steering gears or you can do damage control. I did damage control, but it doesn't really matter that much. But you can build into rudder shift, which makes the ship even more maneuverable, which makes it even more of a threat. And having these secondaries going off of both sides, you can just rack up damage so easily, and you're able to tank so much in this ship. Is just absolutely insane. I was playing this ship just yesterday, and I did a match of a 387,000 damage game, just farming most of the enemy team, just killing them. And I still had 2 heals left at the end of the match. It was insane just how much damage, how much tankiness this ship does. just overall period. Just strong in every game mode you put it in. It is just an absolute brute. Very hard to kill. Just, oh my lord, man. When you see this thing, you understand why it is number 3 on the most hated ship in World of Warships. Now, funny enough, we thought Libertad was bad. Okay, we thought Libertad was bad. Okay, that being number 3. No. We're gonna like no. We're gonna do it even more. We're gonna do even more of a gimmick. So number 2 is gonna be the Valparaiso. This thing, on paper, right? It doesn't look that great. It's a Vanguard with a super heal, the secondary gimmick for combat instruction, right? Like it has low HP, 75,200 armor. Like it's a tier 9 Vanguard, right? It doesn't look that good, right, on paper, right? The AP only, it's like, it doesn't look that good, right? But then you dig a little bit deeper, okay? And you look into just how tanky this ship is. Now, when you build this thing all the way and you get the max number of heals, so you can get 8 total heals. As you can see, it heals 2,300 damage per tick and can heal for about 8 seconds. So it heals about 20,000 damage, okay, per time, right? And for the concealment, it goes down to 12.6, and you have a secondary range of 12. So essentially, you see this thing, you have 0.6 kilometers to know what this thing is, right? And you know it's coming at you. Now, all this doesn't seem that bad, right? It's like, oh, the cooldown is 80 seconds, right? It doesn't seem that bad, right? But then you look at the combat instruction. I want you to look at that number right there. 95% preparation time and reload time for the consumables. You get the heal back almost instantly, like 4 seconds. And same with the DCP. You get them both back in like 4 seconds when that combat instruction is active. And how do you get the combat instruction? From secondaries. You get 8% per secondary hit and 100% for a destroyed. Okay, so you have it where per certain number of secondary hits. So you're essentially encouraged to just W win. You're encouraged to W win, and you just don't die. You keep popping the heal. You keep popping the combat instruction. And oh yeah, by the way, with Lisboa, when you're using those combat instructions, it makes your ship slightly faster, and it makes it where you have a 20% progress on all of your combat instructions after. So you do the combat instruction twice, and after that, it starts at 20% no matter what. You have no idea how strong that is. It makes it where, oh, it doesn't get as much to, oh yeah, it's gonna get it every time, like within a few seconds. So even if you're chucking this thing for 20,000 damage, it's just gonna heal it right back. Right, and then it has this where it gets its main reload back faster and the secondary rate faster with 175 hits from the main guns and the secondary guns. So that's very easy to get. So it makes the secondaries even stronger. Even though they don't hit very hard, the main thing about them is fire chance and just getting secondary hits to get the combat instruction going. The heal is also a special heal as well. So it heals more citadel damage. So even if you citadel this thing, you torpedo this thing, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be able to heal a lot of that damage. So essentially, even if you pretty much almost dev strike, unless you absolutely nuke it, it's going to be able to heal from it. And that's the most dangerous thing about this thing, is because essentially it's unkillable if it's within 12 kilometers of something. If those secondaries are going off, it's essentially unkillable. So it can just sit bow in or slightly angled, not showing that citadel, and it's almost impossible to kill. So in ranked, almost impossible to kill in time. You're being pushed off the map, not being able to do anything as it just W's at you. And then in clan battles, it can just sit there and just tank, hold a whole flank on its own while your team is behind it, just, you know, farming away, just killing the rest of the enemy team, or you're trying to kill it and you're not able to kill it. Essentially, at this point, the strategy to fight Valps is you don't even fight them. You kill the enemy team behind it, because this isn't the DPM dealer, it's the enemy team behind it. It's essentially made to be like a juggernaut. It sits there and tanks while its team behind it does all the DPM. And that's why it's so strong. It is essentially unkillable. Now, if you guys want to know how much HP this thing has in total, I'll put this perspective. This thing has 75,000 HP. You get a total of 8 heals, right? Roughly 21,000 HPs healed every time. So you get a total of 8 heals with the improved repair party, because you do get another one, right? So it's 8 heals. That's roughly 168,000 HP that you're able to heal max every time, okay? Every time you're able to use max out of this heal. 168,000. The ship starts at 75,000, okay? And that's with the little heal flag, right? That is 240,000 HP that this ship has in total. 240,000 HP this thing can tank. That is insane. That is Conqueror level tankiness on a tier 9. Just imagine a tier 7 player took out his brand new like Colorado, and all of a sudden you just see this thing just barreling at you, Wing in at you, and you shoot it, you do like 10,000 damage, it still keeps coming, you do another 10k, it heals that all the way back up. And you do that again, and it keeps coming at you, never stopping. And it just keeps running at you and running at you and running at you, and it just never dies. Right? It just never dies. And that's the whole reason why people hate it, because it's essentially, it encourages, essentially it's an unkillable W-in machine. If someone wants to just W-in, there's almost nothing you can do about it, unless you just nuke it with torpedoes, you ram it. And if you do ram it, you have to make sure you actually kill it, because if you don't kill it from the ram, it can heal back all the ram damage, because ram damage is healable. So you're able to heal back all ram damage. So if you do not kill it with the ram, it's going to heal back. So your two options to kill this thing is ramming it, dev striking if it shows you enough side to citadel it, or nuking with torpedoes, and that's your only option, right? There are some ships that do special that are able to kill it more, because again, its main DPM is actually fires. So if you have like a quick action DCP of some ships like the Russian battleships, the German pocket battleship cruiser line, or the battle cruiser line is some of the quick action DCPs, ships like that with a faster DCP do better against this ship, because they're able to DCP the fires. That would be the main damage dealer. Like, yeah, the guns do a little bit of damage, but overall, no. They're just there kind of like to scare people, or if they show broadside, then yeah. Because if you try to use all the guns, you're able to be citadeled, so that's why you just never do that. But no, this ship is number 2 because of all the reason I just gave. It is an absolute monster. Very hard to kill. Now, for me, I personally love seeing these things on the Navy team, because that means I get to farm tons of damage and credits in the match that I'm in. I'm like, oh boy, look at all this damage I get to farm, and I get to have fun farming and getting tons of credits, base XP from just farming this thing over and over and over and over again, and just getting tons of money from it. So I personally love seeing these things on the enemy team, but if you're not experienced with fighting these things, it is an absolute monster. The Musashi used to be the Seal Clubber to tier 7s. This is now the Seal Clubber to tier 7s. So if you're an unfortunate soul that's grinding up tier 7s right now, or tier 8s, and you see the Valp on the enemy team, you need to stay outside of 12 kilometers. If you're within 12 kilometers, you're essentially fueling its infinite healing machine, and you just need to run away from it as fast as you can, because it is going to be a slow, agonizing death fighting this thing. And that's the worst part. You're just sitting there doing chunk after chunk after chunk, and it's just slowly whittling you away over and over with fires, and just slowly melting you as you just watch as your health diminish, and it just keeps on sitting there farming you over and over again. But yeah, so that's why I'm like, yeah, this is number 2 for the most hated battleship. Number 2 for sure, 100%. Also to know, I also added the salt. I added the salt in the wound death animation, which you can get by gifting 2 subs to me on twitch.tv/overlordbo. You're able to give 2 subs to me on there. If you've already done that, when I'm live, of course, there's going to be a new one refreshing around the 19th, where you're able to get a new one then. So make sure you guys do that as well. So I have to be live, and you're able to give 2 subs, claim it in your Twitch inventory, then you're able to get this cool death animation. So for me, I like to meme, right? So I put the salt in the wound animation with this really hideous camo, just to provide the most salt I can to anyone that I fight. and it's hilarious just seeing the reactions that I get because I just love the meme. So to me, hilarious combo. But anyway, that's number 2. Now moving on to number 1. Also, make sure you guys write in the comments if you agree with my list or if you have your own list of top 5 most hated battleships in World of Warships. Let me know in the comments as well. But number 1 has to be the damn Colombo. Oh my lord. This thing. We all are terrorized by this thing. We see it in our dreams. We see it in our nightmare. Those 16 381 millimeter sniper sap throwing machine. God, this thing hurts. Every salvo, like 30,000 damage to you, 20, 30,000 every time. Laser accurate. It doesn't matter if you're point blank to 20 kilometers away. This thing hurts. All because of that stinking legendary mod that they have not changed. Now, they are, theoretically, they are nerfing the legendary mod by making it where if you have the legendary mod, it reduces the smoke consumables by 2, so you only get 1, which doesn't do anything with the main concern of the ship, which is its dispersion. That dispersion buff may seem small, 6%, but it makes this thing from, okay, it can shoot okay at range 2. Oh yeah, I can just obliterate you at 19, 18 kilometers. It don't matter how close or far away you are. So this thing, sap, like, you know, sap is an interesting gimmick, right? Destroyers, it doesn't do that much damage, but cruisers, battleships, anything else in between, it just does massive damage, right? It just absolutely obliterates it. It doesn't matter what kind of angle you're at. It doesn't matter your broadside, bow, wind, aft. It don't matter. You're just going to get chunked tons of damage no matter what. Your only weakness is just running. Sorry, the only strength you can do is just running away as fast as you can and just trying to dodge if you're able to. One of the main strengths of this ship is the fact that the rear turrets are both 360. So it's able to sit bow wind like this, right? It's facing this way, and it can turn the guns, like these gun angles are absolutely insane. Like it can shoot like this angle like this, or off to the side like this. Insanely strong gun angles. So it could just sit bow wind to you, barely showing any side to where you're able to really punish it. And it's just able to chunk you over and over and over again with those sap rounds. And in clan battles and ranked and randoms, you see this damn thing and you know you're just going to suffer. It doesn't matter how you play against it. If it can shoot anywhere near you or accurate you at all, you are just going to suffer. One of its main weaknesses are aircraft and submarines, so this is the only time I encourage people to use a CV to sub against this thing just to make it suffer. But other than that, it is so hard to deal with this thing. The main way to deal with it also is like really long range HE throwers, where you go outside of its gun range, even with a spotter. That's like one of its main ways to like counter it. But overall, this has to be the #1 most hated ship in World of Warships for battleships. It's hated by competitive players. It's hated by the casual players, you name it. They just hate fighting this thing. It is so hard to deal with that accuracy buff from the legendary mod. Even without the legendary mod, it is still hard to deal with, but not as hard because the guns aren't as accurate. But with that legendary mod, it just puts it on a whole nother level that makes this thing so painstakingly annoying to deal with, because you know every time it shoots at you, it is going to chunk you. It is going to wipe out so much of your HP, and it's going to be so hard to get it back because it's just so painful. It's just so painful. So this is my #1 most hated battleship in World of Warships for 2025. Let me know what you guys think of this list, if you like these kind of lists. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave a like and a comment, subscribe to here if you haven't already. Also check me out at twitch.tv/overlordbo, because I do stream daily over there. So definitely check me out there as well. But thank you guys all for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Deuces!